Mic check 1 2. What it do? Welcome back to the Mic Check podcast. This is T Word. Today we're talking about Ryan Garcia versus Oscar Duarte, a match that happened on Saturday night on the Zone. But before we get into this matchup, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the channel in the comments. Let's get this ball back rolling. But anyway, so on Saturday night, December 2nd, Ryan Garcia returned to the ring after his loss to Gervonta Tank Davis back in April. So basically, roughly a 7-month layoff, something like that. He finally got back in the ring. And, when you have a fighter that takes a loss, you always wonder what their mental makeup is going to be when they return to the ring. Where leading up to the fight, he seemed to be mentally prepared. He made a change of trainer. He switched from Joe Goosen pretty much immediately after the fight. He tapped in with Derek James, and for much of the year, he was down in Dallas and basically throughout Texas and even in Vegas, following Derek James around to do his training, to get prepared for his next opportunity to get in the ring, which finally came here in December. And my expectations for Ryan, I wouldn't say they were high because he has a lot of flaws as far as boxers go, but I was more anticipating what the work that Derek James was going to do with him look like. There were some very glaring flaws in his game leading up, and you could even see it on the screen here. Sometimes when he's punching, he's closing his eyes, and that can leave you prone to getting caught with something that obviously you're not going to see. And as they say, the one that you don't see is the one that'll put your lights out. But that's kind of something hard to clean up. There's enough issues to where there just wasn't enough time for them together to clean everything up. So I didn't expect him to look like a night and day fighter because it's been less than a year, and it takes going through training camp, getting in the ring, fighting somebody, go to the drawing board, reset, and do some things. So I knew there would still be flaws, but something that was pointed out on the live stream is that every Derek James fighter kind of has a footwork thing that they're doing now. Everybody that steps into camp with him that wasn't there before, they're doing this side step lateral thing, and it just doesn't work for everybody. And I think Ryan Garcia, just like Anthony Joshua, struggled with it, and that was one thing that I think maybe they'll look at the tape and they'll try to get rid of it and just go with Ryan's strengths and just help him with his defense. So that's why I want to start with my analysis of the actual fight. So early on, Ryan fought from distance, and even at distance, his defense didn't look that good, but he was able to maintain control, and I gave him the first 2 rounds. In rounds 3 through 6, he stopped moving. He got off his lateral game, and he tried to plant his feet, and he started doing what amounts to a broken shoulder roll, and he was turning himself into a T position. And when you're in the T position, if you're at the top of the T, you're in the advantageous position because you can punch the front and back of your opponent. If you're the stem of the T, you're at a disadvantage because you've given access to every vital organ on your body, and you don't have a way to punch without punching across your body. So think about who's going to be most effective. If you're a letter T and you're the top of the T, you're in the best position. And Duarte was there, but it's that most of the time he didn't capitalize. All he had to do was go down to the body, punch down, near the spleen on Ryan's left side, and then come over top with the overhand with his own left hand, and that probably could have taken Ryan out of the fight pretty early, but he didn't take full advantage. But yet I still gave him rounds 3 through 6. So going into the 7th, I had a 4-2 in favor of Duarte, and then Ryan got back to lateral movement. He started setting lateral traps in which he would move right to left, plant his feet, and before Duarte could get set and throw, Ryan Garcia would throw some punches and catch him. And one thing you can't allow is a big puncher like Ryan to start getting clean shots on you when you're not even planted firm. You're coming off of a movement, and that's what started to happen. And eventually you knew that sneaky hook was going to get in there and he was going to end the fight. And that's just what happened in the 8th round. He was able to finally catch up with Duarte and close the show. And it was a pretty exciting fight. But the thing is, he made some weird comments after the fight, and then he also said some stuff before the fight where he was talking about his promoters and whatnot. So we don't know where he's even going to be fighting in the near future. He might try to go jump on PBC on some type of buyout situation, and it might be worth it because he is a marketable fighter and he's coming off a knockout. But promoter stuff aside, just getting back to the basics of boxing, after the fight, he was talking about Duarte being a bigger puncher than Tank. Well, I would hope so. We're talking about a true 140 pounder. You would think he had more crack, but I think that was just, you can't say that Tank is the biggest puncher you've ever faced and he's beating you, and then turn around and try to talk about a rematch with him, because people are gonna be like, well, if he's just gonna knock you out anyway, what's the point? So I think that this is just kind of marketing, and he's planting the seeds for a rematch. If he can get a nice little streak, and they see that the money's available, and people think he has a shot, and he regains his following, it might just happen. But ultimately, I thought it was an okay return to the ring, and I believe that he's going to probably find himself in front of more guys like this, despite him calling out the best at 140. Um, he's going to find himself in front of more guys like Duarte, and eventually talk himself into some type of fight. I wish they would stop calling him a former champion, because it's an interim belt, and now he has an international or intercontinental belt. So I wish they would just say, hey, contender Ryan Garcia, and just call it a day. But we'll see how the rest of this goes for him. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. This has been T for the Mic Check Podcast. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.